from sports, this is Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Grizz Insider right here on MTN. Alongside the voice of the Grizz, Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen. And Riley, last Thursday, the Grizzlies and Vandals met in volleyball, and between the two of us, we made about, 50 Taylor Swift references on Era's night. But on Saturday, when it was Grizz Vandals football, only thing I could say, statement.
Statement win. Very well put, Kyle. And it was really fun. And we're still coming down from it, that drive from Moscow, getting home in the wee hours of the morning. But what a college football game. I mean, those are the environments, those are the games that we live for, the players play for, and it's what it's all about. I mean, a sold-out crowd. You got two teams that don't like each other very much, and we'll throw the whole rivalry word around and have some fun with that throughout the course of the show. But it was great. And the Grizzlies, they threw the first punch in that game. They knew they had to against an Idaho team that loves to play with the lead, and it was impressive from start to finish. We've seen these Grizzlies grow from week to week, and this one hit a different level.
Yes, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, what an atmosphere, right? Like, that's exactly what you want, whether it's, we see it here at Washington Grizzly Stadium, obviously MSU sees it, but you go to Idaho, and I mean, the fans, everything, it was just so buzzing with the whole atmosphere. But I got to say, we were talking throughout the week last week, and you had mentioned you kind of had an inkling that something special was going to happen for Montana, so I just got to ask, what about last week made you feel that way?
Well, when you're fortunate enough to be around college athletics, as long as I have now, and especially here at Montana, you get feels for things right around a team, and this Grizzly team had put it together in the last couple of weeks, and I think we saw them turn a corner, maybe a little bit too early to say it in Idaho State, but they turned a corner against UC Davis. They put it together. They feel that they believe in their identity now, and they believe in their plan, and it came to life against UC Davis. And then watching practice on Wednesday, a connected group that was really embracing the elements around them. I mean, call it what it is, Kyle. Going into that game, it was all about Idaho. The rebirth of Idaho, their homecoming. They've got to sell out. Not many people were giving the Grizzlies a chance. They were a double-digit underdog in that game. And I felt that the Grizzlies really were rallying together, and just seeing how crisp they were at practice. It's been fun to watch this team grow from week to week, and I just had a different feeling as I watched practice transpire.
Absolutely, and it's been impressive to watch. And last week we saw arguably their best offensive half against UC Davis. You could argue this one against Idaho was even better. They come out, throw the first punch, as you mentioned, and the offense was just clicking. So what about that matchup do you think Montana was able to take advantage of?
I really like just the way that they have become more versatile. They threw the ball down the field, right? The book on Clifton McDowell was, he's a runner, might be able to make some short passes. He's proved that narrative wrong, and by a long shot. That pass to Junior Bergen was perfect. There were a couple more throws, I think, that maybe the receiver should have caught against Idaho. So I've just been so impressed with just the maturity of McDowell and how he's grown week by week as a quarterback. Kyle, he's now nearly at 90 pass attempts without an interception. He's taking care of the football, and Montana's just been able to be versatile from an offensive side of things, breaking it up for big plays, a 50-yard run for Eli Gilman. So I've just really liked to see that growth that we've seen on that side.
Another thing impressive about Clifton is that he evades pressure. Did you notice that? Because it's like he evades pressure, he doesn't get sacked, or when he's running, he breaks tackles. It's really kind of impressive to watch how he does that. Junior Bergen does the same, a little bit different, being shifty, but McDowell's so physical and big. He's able to do it. What did you think of their second half, being able to settle in? Because obviously Idaho was going to wake up at some point. Tremendous offense that the Vandals have, but they wake up, the Grizz buckle down, and I mean, just blowout wins aren't going to happen. They're going to keep fans on the edge of their seats all year, it seems.
4 straight wins now for the Grizz that have come by 1 possession.
Wow.
You know, hey, it's fun for us. I was telling Greg in our radio booth, it's really fun to call these kind of games because you don't know what's going to happen until the very end. But once that game settled in, you know Idaho is explosive offensively, and we talk a lot about time of possession and their style of keep away. Well, that's to protect their best unit. Their best unit is what they have on offense. Giovanni McCoy, he is the real deal. I mean, he kept so many plays alive, and I feel holding a team like that to 21 points, that's a Herculean-like effort, and that was just fun to see. The defense played well, and I think the offense is going to take the storylines, but that's what makes it such a well-rounded win, that when it was the offense's turn in the first half, it was the defense's turn in the second.
It was. Great team performance, great win for the Grizz, 6-1. The Little Brown sign is back in Missoula, and we have a great show coming for you as Riley is going to catch up with head coach Bobby Howe coming up to recap the game against the Vandals.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
And welcome back to the Grizz Insider. What a win it was in Moscow for the Grizz. And as you can tell, we have a guest with us here with Coach Houck, but it's a Little Brown Stein. Had to make an appearance on the show, Coach.
Good to have that back where it belongs, huh?
I would agree with that. The Grizzlies held it for 23 straight years. Idaho, they had it for a brief stay, but it's back in Missoula for the considerable time being. These two will not play next year, so Little Brown Stein can make a home in Missoula. But, Coach, what a wild win. And just a great game from start to finish. That's what college football is all about. As the game finished, it was wild. But take me through your emotions on that contest and what stood out to you.
Well, obviously, personally, I was very excited. As you know, we got to spend some time before and after, and it was an exciting game. Really a great win by our team. Our players did a great job. Our assistant coaches did a great job. Had just a nice plan to go in there and win a big game in the Big Sky Conference.
No question. 23-21 the final score, but in the first half, it was total dominance. You guys scored the first 20 points of the game out of the gates. A lot of layers to this question, Coach. Offensively, how were you able to do it? And secondly, how important was it to score first against an Idaho team that had scored on their opening possession in every game this year and just thrives on playing from ahead, and you guys didn't let them do that all night long?
Yeah, I think you're right on there. They aren't accustomed to playing from behind. I don't think it fits their personality, so getting them behind was big in the game.
Big time, and a play in that. I mean, you had two scoring drives of over 90 yards. I want to talk about the big play over the top from Clifton McDowell to Junior Bergen, 76 yards, new career long for Junior Bergen. But that one lifted the lid off of the place a little bit, made it a two-score game. And we had said it wasn't a game where someone that goes down 2 scores is going to be in a good position to come back and win. Take us through that play, how big that drive really was for the Grizz.
You were with us at times through the week, and so you knew the conversations about trying to, if things played out exactly like we wanted, we get up on them early and make them come from behind. Getting them down 10, that was a huge play. It was well thrown. Junior did a nice job running under it and then running away from them. To go up 10-0 was big in the game. All of a sudden, our players are going, hey, it's on now. You're going to have a hard time beating us.
Offensive balance. What did you like so much about it? I mean, there was a time we looked up, you had 283 yards of offense, 142 through the air, 141 on the ground. It just seemed like clockwork all game long, the collective balance offensively and the creativity that was mixed in, little Statue of Liberty play and everything from offensive coordinator Brent Peace.
Yeah, Brent did a good job with some help putting that plan together, and the guys executed. We didn't play effectively enough in the second half. I don't necessarily have a problem with what we were doing. We just need to execute it a little better. But we were very effective, and being up 20-0 in the first half really put them behind the 8 ball.
How about on the defensive side? Because that is an explosive offense. Even walking away from the Kibbe Dome, you know that there's a lot of firepower for what Idaho can do offensively. You guys stymied them the whole first half. First 28 minutes, they do not score. Held them to just 21 points. Well, what did you do so well defensively? 6 sacks, the most in 2 years for the Grizz. You guys certainly applied the pressure.
They couldn't handle us defensively, except for one guy, and they should be very proud of their quarterback because he kept them in the game. He held the whole thing up on his back or in his hand. He kept that team in the game throughout the entire, really from the middle of the second quarter through the end of it. He kept that team in the game. He was special. He'll hold the ball now, and that's why he took the 6 sacks. But then he'd make plays to move the chains after that. So they should be proud of that kid. He was really good.
Classic college football game. How about the atmosphere? How did you guys embrace the elements? You were right in front of the band, the student section. There wasn't many people that were rooting for the Montana Grizzlies in that crowd, and you sent a homecoming crowd home a little bit disappointed. But take me through how you guys handled the elements in the atmosphere.
Well, we handled the noise. It was loud in there. You were there. But we handled that really well. We didn't have any false starts or anything like that. We had a noise plan. We practiced with crowd noise. Our guys handled that. The atmosphere was great. Their student section being behind us fired us up. It was fun. We had a blast. College kids interacting with other college kids. It was really fun. I thought it was great. I hope they keep showing up. Good for Idaho for selling that out.
Well, take me through the emotions. Is the final minute maybe ticked down and you guys were eventually able to seal the win from the game-winning plays of stopping them on the 2-point conversion, the fumble to seal the game, and then the celebration on the field after you got lifted, the vertical got raised a little bit for you, Coach, as you guys were getting the Stein back.
College football is an emotional game. If you don't care, that doesn't get exposed. And our guys care about winning from me throughout the organization. Man, it was a lot of fun. You got to have fun. You got to enjoy the winning because the losses are hard too. You got to let the highs be high, and that was high at the end of that one.
Yes, it was, and the Grizzlies will head into their bye week with a sterling record of 6-1. Only 2 teams in the entire country in the FCS with 6 wins. Grizz are one of them, and Kyle Hansen will be back with Kale Edwards on the Grizzly Insider when we return.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
And welcome back to the Grizz Insider, and I'm excited to be joined by the man of the hour after the Idaho Vandals game, Mr. Kale Edwards, junior defensive end. Kale, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We got to start off with the obvious, right? Final defensive play of the game for you guys to seal the win against the Vandals. You get the strip sack, Levi recovers it, you guys get the win. Walk me through that play, what you were seeing, and how you were able to get it done. Yeah,
they called the play for me, and I was excited to be in there and the one doing it. I didn't know any of the other DNs could have done the same thing. We have confidence in our guys, and I had faith that Levi or whoever else, Gubner almost had it, was going to come up with it. So
when you just had kind of a clear lane to Giovanni McCoy.
Yeah.
Like when you see that like that, I mean, would your eyes just get wide? Like what were you kind of seeing in that moment, and then just staying composed and everything?
Oh, it's like Christmas. Yeah, you're just trying not. You got to not screw up at that point. Anybody can walk into that one, but it was a good one, and happy it was me.
In a moment like that, did you notice he fumbled it?
I did not right away. I got up and then saw everybody still running after something, so I tried to hop in and hopefully was going to get a block for Levi before he stumbled because he thought clock management that was a better idea, is what he told me after the game. So
right, yeah, that natural athlete, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and so when he scoops it up, you see it, things kind of sink in a little bit, and then you guys get to celebrate with the little brown Stein, bringing it back. Just what was the ensuing minutes like after as you guys got to celebrate and knocked off the number 3 team in the country?
It was exciting, big deal for all those seniors for sure. The trophy games, you always want to bring home those last year, so it was good for all those guys, good for me. Obviously, it's close to home and exciting for the coaches, so it was a good one, the whole team.
Right, and well, in those moments too, I mean, it seems like you guys really, not like a weight was lifted off your shoulders, but you guys kind of solidified that self-belief a little bit. Could you feel that in those celebrations? You guys were passing around the Stein and everything like that?
Yeah, I think we always had belief. I think definitely for some of the people like outside the program maybe, it was reassuring. Although our games are not reassuring. They're too stressful, but I think it's a big victory, and yeah, the whole team always had faith, and the guys, the coaches, and everybody in it.
You know, obviously you grew up right up the road in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and had mentioned after the game that the Vandals had actually recruited you. So a game like this, to make a play like that, just what does this game kind of mean to you as someone who's from the state of Idaho?
I've played a couple games in there. I played a couple games in high school there, so love the Kibbe Dome, love playing in there. Played there once in college, and that was my second time, so just wanted to show up, and glad I got to at the end, yeah.
Now I know how both of your college results went. How did your high school results go in the Kibbe Dome?
Man, that was a long time ago. I'm an old man now, so we won as a junior, when I was a junior, to make it to state there against Joey Elwell's team, actually.
Oh, wow, okay.
Back in 2017, something like that.
Okay, wow. Yeah. Okay, so good luck for Kale Edwards in the
I guess,
Dome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and Kale, obviously, we've seen your progression over the last couple of years, both from special teams and being a rotational player and starter on the defensive line. So for you, these last couple of years, now that you've been acclimated into the defense, what's it been like for you as we've kind of seen your athleticism and development kind of start paying off on that side of the ball?
It's been good. I mean, I'm just taking what I can from the guys that are older than me or the guys that are done now, and the coaches too. Coach Linehan's is the new guy that we have, and he's great and helping bring a lot of new stuff in. And Coach Sachs was the last guy. He's a character and coaches you how to play the right way, so it's good.
We look at you and like your frame, obviously you have a very big frame, very athletic. So for you, like the college game, like what was it like acclimating to that and kind of using your body and getting used to it and kind of showing off some of that athleticism?
They kept moving me closer to the ball, so that was a change for sure. Learning how to play in the trenches, and I think I'm still learning, honestly. But yeah, I think just getting stronger, trying to fill out that frame. Coach Dan Ryan and Coach Nicholson before him were always trying to help me with that. So keep trying to do that and keep the weight on, and yeah, hopefully use my athleticism as well as I can.
Absolutely. Well, and so from last year to this year, where did you maybe see the growth? Because you got to start seeing some time on defense last year, and obviously this year you've been a starter. Where have you seen your growth maybe from last year to this year?
I had confidence in myself last year, but I think this year I just managed to put on a little bit more weight, and then got more used to playing the position. Didn't get tons of reps when I first switched, and it was a big wake-up call 2 seasons ago. And last year I think I got to play a little bit more and start to get a feel for it a little bit more. And then this season, obviously, I've got to do the same.
No doubt. Well, Kale, thank you so much for coming on the show, and congratulations on the victory. And don't go anywhere. Coming up, Riley Corcoran will rejoin the show as we look ahead to Montana's bye week and look around the Big Sky Conference.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Well, the Grizz are riding high at 6-1 going into their bye week, and there's still tasks at hand, and we talked to Coach Houck about that.
We'll have some practice. We'll have a chance to freshen up a little bit. We'll probably have a chance to watch some film and do some research on some future opponents or potential opponents. It's a good week for that. We'll make good use of our time, and then we're gonna enjoy getting this thing, and we're gonna enjoy being one of 2 teams in the country with 6 wins right now.
Well, Kyle, I think the bye week comes at a perfect time for Montana with what they did against Idaho. We have a unique perspective up in the radio booth. You were down there in the trenches on the sideline. How much did Montana pour into this game emotionally, physically, mentally, all of those things?
So much. I mean, like we talked earlier in the show, this was all about Idaho going into the game. The Grizz were seen as kind of like that stepping stone to get the Vandals, kind of push them over a little bit, right? You know, kind of get them over and get another win, because this is the win over the Grizz last year is what kind of kickstarted this run and showed people that Idaho was legit again with Jason Eck as head coach. And you could just see like the players lifting the stein and, you know, seeing them celebrate, hug each other, embrace Coach Houck. This just meant so much to them. They'll never admit it because they have self-belief, and that's very respectable, but you could see some weight was maybe lifted off their shoulders to get a statement win like this. And afterwards, I mean, those are long games. The defense had to play so long, especially in the second half, and to close it out, I think it just meant a lot to them.
I know it's a sports cliche, but a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
How much maybe that Northern Arizona game, how much more connected have you seen this Grizzly team in each progressive game from the Northern Arizona game to give us the performance we saw last week?
It's so much more, right? Yeah. Because it lit a fire under them. And losses tend to do that, because you see that when you see like coaches talk afterwards, you see players kind of look at it because they hate losing. They're not here to lose. And so it kind of reset them a little bit, made them do some soul searching, which they had mentioned afterwards. And then Idaho State was like a good win to kind of get back on track, even though it wasn't quite the blowout people expected. And then obviously beating Davis and Idaho back to back was good. But I mean, that takes a toll on you mentally, physically, and like you mentioned, I think the bye's coming at a good time right now.
Well, in the rest of the Big Sky Conference, highly competitive. As we take a look at the rest of the conference right now, Kyle, and it seems like to me that we're starting to separate into a couple tiers. There's the championship tier, really 4 teams, and kind of the 4 teams everyone had talked about preseason are going to go battle with it, with Montana State, Sacramento State, Idaho, and Montana reaching that upper echelon. Just your thoughts on the rest of the Big Sky Conference and how this exciting championship race is going to shake out.
The league is just proving to be exactly what we thought it would be, right? With all these teams, and you have these teams that could be national championship contenders within the league, and they're all playing each other now. And so it's a little bit of cannibalization. You know, you see these teams, you see Idaho State beat Eastern last night, who was looking to be like a team that was going to maybe make some noise, and they still can. But you look at Sac and Idaho have met now. Idaho has seen the Grizz. In 2 weeks, Idaho will see Montana State. Montana State will see Sac State next week. The Grizz will see Sac State in the first week of November. So we're going to start seeing some of these separate a little bit. And, you know, it's nice to have these games that matter and against good teams who, you never know, these teams could also see each other in the playoffs, too.
They really could. And that leads me to the final piece in all this, Kyle. Montana now has weathered the storm on the road. Back-to-back wins against ranked opponents for the first time in 23 years. Now you get to come home for 3 of your final 4 games. And how much of a boost can that give this team as they head into the final portion of their schedule? Not having to leave Missoula only one time.
That's big. It's very big, right? And you look at who they're going to have to play. It's going to be Northern Colorado, who we were just talking has surprised some people with their competitiveness. The wins aren't there, but they're fighting. And that's a good sign for a program like that. Then they're going to get that night game against Sac State, which is going to be huge. And could be huge in the conference standings. You get the tough game against Portland State right before the rivalry game. So it's going to be a great stretch for the Grizz. But yeah, spending it home, I'm sure they're pretty happy about that.
Well, we cannot wait for the stretch run of the regular season. We'll wrap up this show next.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back to the Grizz Insider. And Riley, it's funny, a couple weeks ago, the sky was falling. This upcoming week, the Grizzlies are a top 10 team in the country, and it really is amazing how football is a chapter a week in the sport.
It's a roller coaster of emotions, and we ride them, and it's just so much fun from week to week. But you're right, the lows of the lows after Northern Arizona, and now all of a sudden the Grizz, they're going to be back in the top 10, and Grizz fans certainly need to enjoy this, because this is why you're a year-long fan, for moments like this. This is certainly one of the biggest wins in the Bobby Houck era coming back. certainly on the road for them to go in and beat third-ranked Idaho, and there's a lot of possibilities on the table for the Final Four games.
Absolutely. What a moment for the Grizzly coaches and players. Montana going to be a top 10 team, and they are off this week, but they will have Northern Colorado at home the following week after that. So thanks so much for watching us on this week's Grizz Insider. For Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen, and we'll see you next week.